everyone, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to try something different today. I have always been interested in these types of cases of missing people, of true crime story type things. So I wanted to give it a shot in hopes that maybe the video may reach someone that it should, and then answers could be had on a lot of the cases. So this is going to be my first of hopefully a series of these. It won't be that often. It'll maybe be once a month or so, and at least in the beginning, because it does take a lot of time to do the research on all of the cases. So this is my first case. I'm choosing this case of Devin Bond for a few reasons. One reason is because it happened in where I live, basically in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. At the time I was not living here. We moved to the house about a month and a half, 2 months later. We had just moved back from Georgia, so we were staying with my parents. And so I wasn't in Murfreesboro. If I were, I would have definitely been part of the search process that was going on. That's one reason. The other reason is because I have followed this case from basically the beginning, because it was close to home, basically. So I'm hoping that there can be answers found. Okay, so let's get into it. This is the case, like I said, of Devin Bond. I'm going to be looking down a lot because there is a lot of information, and I want to make sure I get it correct. I want to only share the facts rather than any assumptions, and I just want to get it right. It could be the difference in finding or not finding. This is the case of Devin Bond. Devin Bond was born on December the 27th, 2000. He was a 16-year-old high school student at Riverdale High School in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He lived with his mother, his dad, and his little brother. His mother's name's Heather, little brother's name's Dylan. At the time, Dylan was 9 years old. I couldn't find much information on the father. The father has chosen to stay basically out of the media, which all for good reason. I assume he's letting Heather pretty much just take over. He went to Riverdale High School, but they were on spring break at the time, that week of March. He was a normal, teenager, likes playing video games, hanging out with his friends, texting, social media. On March the 30th, the night that he was seen, it was like any other normal day. His mother got home around 6:30 p.m. in the evening, had dinner with her family. It was said that he ate a lot more than he normally does that day. Now this was at 6:30, however long it takes to eat, and it seems at 7:30. I also had another time that it was 8:30, but that was only one report. But 7:30, he got either a text or a phone call from his girlfriend breaking up with him. There are two reports, but I'm going to steer clear of one of them because it was on Reddit, and I can't really say that it was accurate information. So the report from the mother of Devin and the police was that she broke up with him because he paid more attention to his friends, his video games, and social media than he did to her. He didn't talk to any of his friends about this, that the police or his family are aware, didn't let his family lead on to it. There was no conversation about it. There was no indication that his girlfriend had broken up with him, so it went on like a normal, typical night. At 11:30 p.m., his mother stopped by his room to tell him good night and that she loved him. He was just playing video games at this time. She told him not to stay up too late, and that was that. She went to bed. Now, apparently the father also works the late shift, I guess the third shift maybe, or maybe second shift, I'm not sure. So he wasn't there, so she told him, Devin, good night, and went to bed. And this was the last time that Heather saw her son, Devin. The next morning, Heather got up, did her usual thing, got ready for work, went into work, and around 10:30, I think she got the call at 10:30 that Devin was nowhere to be found by her husband. Her husband had called and told her. She left work early and went home first to kind of check around. Comes to find out that Dylan, the younger son, or Devin's brother, found that there were pillows and blankets stuffed up underneath the covers to make it appear that Devin was still asleep in his room. Now, this was at 10:30. I think it was reported that Dylan may have found it around 10, that he was no longer there. So I'm assuming in between 10 and 10:30, the brother and father were looking for Devin to see if they could find him. And at 10:30, that's when Heather, or the husband, calls Heather. This is not an unusual thing of sleeping late on your days off, your breaks from school, because I did that. I would sleep until 10:30, 11:30 on school breaks and weekends. So that's no different finding that he wasn't in his bed at 10:30. Well, here Heather is leaving work early. She goes to a friend of his house and then goes to, I think I've heard that she went to his girlfriend's house, but it was also reported that she was not in town. So she did not get a hold of her there at the residence on that night. It was reported that she, I think, contacted her on April the 1st, the following day after he had disappeared, that he seemed upset because she did break up with him. She had no known whereabouts or any information on his plan to run away or leave. The family then called the police department around 11:30 after they couldn't find him, and tried to go to all the friends' house and contact all the friends to see if they could locate him. So they put out a BOLO for Devin as a missing person and filed the missing person report. Detective Will Pinson is the detective on the case, and it's still an open case. Now here are the kind of facts that the police have gathered since then. It was early morning of March 31st, this was a Friday, March 31st, that he was seen on surveillance. It was either by the Bond's residence or a neighbor's residence that the back porch light turned on around 3:30 and stayed on for about 15 minutes. So about 3:45 is when it is believed that Devin left the house on foot. And approximately an hour later at 4:33 a.m. in the morning, a witness may have spotted Devin about 5 miles away on Barfield Crescent Road. Now, I do live off in this area of Barfield Crescent Road, and it is a road that people don't walk on. It's not frequently traveled by the walkers or anyone jogging or anything because it has no shoulder. It's just 2 lanes, one way each direction. Vehicles do travel fairly fast on this road, I including sometimes, but I would definitely find it very suspicious if I saw someone walking, especially early in the morning. So the witness that may have spotted what is supposedly Devin did make note of the time, and it was 4:33 in the morning, because it was very odd that has a young male kid out, and it was spotted in gray t-shirt and khaki pants. Now, he lived off of Thompson Road and Armstrong Valley, so it's about, like I said, 5 miles from Barfield Crescent Road. By car, it would take about 8 minutes, so that kind of gives you an idea that him walking on foot from where he lived to Barfield Crescent Road would take about approximately an hour. They pinged his cell phone, and it was last pinged a tower on Joe B. Jackson Parkway, showing that he was about 1.8 miles from that tower, which would put him in the middle of Barfield Crescent Road. And that was at 4:56 a.m. That's why they believe that this witness likely did spot Devin. He was traveling in the direction of Veterans Parkway, which is, I guess he was relatively close to it if he was in the middle of Barfield Crescent Road. And that is, I've heard that it's en route to his girlfriend's house, so it was originally believed that he may have been headed there, but he should have known that she was not in town. So I'm not sure on all that. They had been dating for about 2 months approximately beforehand. And after the ping at 4:56 a.m., the phone has not been activated whatsoever. They still apparently check on the pings to see if has been maybe turned back on, charged, accessed, and there has been no activity with the phone to date. And this has been since, again, March the 30th is when he was last seen. March 31st is when a mostly confirmed spotting of him on Barfoot Crescent Road. The police have put canine trackers out in the area. They did Tennessee Highway Patrol helicopters. They searched on foot, and I think they had a lot of volunteers that searched all the areas. There's a park nearby, Barfoot Crescent Park, that was heavily checked. And again, I think the canines got a scent of him, but it was at the front door, so they're not sure if that was from that night, or he lived there, if that was another night. Also, no cars from the surveillance videos at the house. There were no cars that drove by, no one else that showed up to possibly pick him up or anything like that. Upon investigation, the police did find a piece of paper that said 730. There was no to show the time or anything. Now, if you back up, if you recall, that was the time that his girlfriend broke up with him. No one knows if that is a direct correlation, if that has anything to do with the case, or if it was an answer to a math problem, a meeting time, nothing. They just know 730 is written on a piece of paper. They found that his room was missing a black drawstring Nike bag, a red and gray, I think, North Face pullover, a few other items of clothing along with pants. And it may have been believed that he left with approximately $40, which is not a lot, but it could get, a bus ticket or something along the lines of that. Unfortunately, it was later found that his father was missing a .45 caliber pistol that he kept in his closet. So it is believed that Devin did take a gun with him. Now, we don't know if maybe the issue with the girlfriend kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back, or if it was just for protection. Maybe he needed some money. I do believe that the police have tried to track the serial number of the gun to see if maybe it has showed up in anyone else's possession, maybe a pawn shop or anything. I know that they've at least checked to see if it's been in anyone else's possession. It has not been found, so I don't know if they've checked pawn shops throughout the nation or not. Now, upon interviews with the friends and the girlfriend and the coaches and teachers at school of Devin's, it was voiced that his friends did say that he had a desire to live as a homeless person in Florida. Now, I know we all say things, may not mean them, but he was also described as an impulsive person, so that could be the case. Maybe he, did run away and acted out the desire to live as a homeless person, or maybe he's just not wanting to be located, not wanting to be found. I'm not certain, just giving you the facts here. He was described by his coaches and teachers as a good kid, never got into trouble, he wasn't a troublemaker. He had a good relationship with his family. Now, they did check the phone activity. The mother gave all consent to check all the wireless activity on all their phones, and including his. And unfortunately, the last text message he sent was earlier in the day to his mother. He used Kik messaging app to communicate with his friends, and apparently that app does not store any messages, so they're not able to check that to see who he was communicating with prior to the days of his disappearance. And also, he was a huge gamer, and he had Xbox. The police have tried to follow up on who he was playing with and any conversations there, but it's limited information because there is no crime. He left on his own accord, so that's kind of the issue here, that they're not able to get the addresses and the names and all that of the people he was speaking to see if there were any issues. This next tidbit, I'm not sure. I think, again, it was on Reddit. I don't know if it's correct or not. I take this part with a grain of salt, but it was stated that someone had accessed Devin's Google account on up to, I think it was April the 15th, 2017, which is a few weeks after his disappearance. Now, that would mean either he had access to his phone, he had access to his computer. Now, don't forget that the phone had been turned off or the battery had died because there had not been any activity sent. But I thought it was a good point to bring out there that kind of gave you hope. So either Devin accessed it or a third person accessed it. The mother also stated that in this account that he did not know the password. She set up the accounts for the entire family. Each of them had an account, but he didn't know the password. So I don't know how accurate that one tidbit of information is. I don't want to spread any false information. So if I'm wrong on that, I do apologize. That's pretty much all the information that I could find. I know there are a lot of interviews and videos and all that on Devin Bond, so there may be additional information that I didn't see. I know he's been on all across the news, People Magazine or People.com. He's been on ID Channel. So, I mean, they are pushing it out there to find Devin and bring him home. His mother, I mean, his family, but his mother has been a huge advocate out in the media trying to find and locate Devin and bring him back home. I get that. I couldn't even imagine if it were my kids. I don't even want to think about that, honestly. He is now 18 years old. He would be 19 in December the 27th, as I previously stated. At the time of his disappearance, he had blondish brown hair, brown eyes, 6 foot even tall, and approximately 160 pounds. He was last seen in a gray shirt and khaki pants, and he has a scar on his left knee from surgery. So if you have any information, any tips, then please come forward. Let the authorities know. You can I'm going to read this. You can contact the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department at 615-898-7770 or the tip line at 615-904-3056. If you have any information on Devin's whereabouts, if you're Devin, and I ask that you please let your family know that you're okay. Just somehow, I know that there is an award out there if you have any tips that lead to his return, and it's also being offered to Devin since he left his house on his own accord. There's websites, there's Facebook, everything that the mother has constantly updated, any information that she has. There is a facts page on the website that is very helpful, where I got a lot of information that I didn't previously read in any other reports. I said it was being also offered to Devin that if he at least shows authority wherever he is and they take a picture, and in order to receive the money, he would have to call his parents at least. Not saying that he would have to come home. They just want to know that he is okay. Now there are a lot of theories out there, of course, that he ran away and is living as a homeless person. Now the mother just completely refuses to give into the fact that he may have killed himself, which I get it, I understand, and I also kind of believe that. I feel that you would do that. You wouldn't technically run away to do that. That's just my feeling. I get it, but let's just skip on over that. It's also a theory that as he was walking along Barfield Crescent Road, now I mentioned it is a smaller road with no shoulder. Early in the morning, it's still dark outside. He was wearing relatively dark clothing. It has been a theory that a hit and run driver, maybe DUI, or just someone on his way to work or even home from third shift, hit Devin and didn't report it to authorities, and just kind of, I mean, typically you would find a body, right? But there have been instances where the people are terrified and they take the body with them. Again, I'm more positive on these. I think that he did run away. I do believe he is still out there, and he's just right now not wanting to be found. But if for some odd unknown reason that he is, or someone that he knows where his whereabouts are, is watching this, I ask that you please let the authorities or his mother Heather know that he's okay, so she can at least get some type of peace in her life. You'll never know a mother's love or a father's love, a parent's love of their child until you become one. So just keep that in mind. You're not helping the situation by hiding any information. Now that I went on my mother's rant, that's pretty much all the information that I have on this case. If any of the family is watching this, I mean, no disrespect. I'm trying to provide only facts out there. If I got anything wrong, please let me know. That's perfectly fine. I will gladly do an update or add on or anything like that. And anything that I can do to help or support, just reach out to me and let me know. But this has been a video with Just Do Call, and I hope the family does get the positive information that they have been looking for and the positive outlook or outcome of this case. So I will see you guys next time. Love you.